Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing God of War 2 on the PlayStation 3. This is also available on the PlayStation 2. Of course, it won't look as nice. This runs at 60 frames per second at 720p, I believe. Whereas the original PlayStation 2, it did have a progressive scan mode on it, but I think it was like 480i to 480p. Nothing mind-blowing. As far as a PlayStation 2 game goes, it's one of the best looking and best playing PlayStation 2 games there is, in my opinion. As for the PlayStation 3, you can, I believe, download this separately off the PlayStation Network, and you can get this game either in the God of War collection or the God of War Saga collection. It really doesn't matter which one you get if you want to play this specific game. As stated in the other God of War video, if you buy God of War Saga, excuse me for coughing, make sure that you get it new and that the online vouchers for the PSP games, which is Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta, are still up to date. Otherwise, I would buy the God of War 1 and 2 collection and then the PSP collection disc version with the Ghosts of Sparta and Chains of Olympus on it. Unfortunately, there's no collection besides Saga that includes God of War 3, but you can either buy the PlayStation 3 version, which probably costs peanuts by now if you get it used, and probably fairly cheap new, or you can probably get a fairly affordable version of the PlayStation 4 if you want to spread it across different consoles. I don't know, and you can get the PS2 versions cheap. As far as playing PlayStation 2 games on newer TV, it's hit or miss depending on the TV you have. There might be some input lag, which is an issue with a lot of TVs nowadays, and sometimes they just don't look as nice on flat screen LCD TV, no matter whether how good your upscaling is. That's why a lot of people are keeping their CRT televisions. I have the option to actually have a CRT television for my PlayStation 2, and I'm really debating because I don't have the room. CRT televisions happen to be huge and take up a lot of room, and I'm like, where am I going to put this? I have a dedicated area for a CRT television because I have two LCD televisions. I have one, actually, if you count my monitor for the computer, that's three, but I have a 42-inch TV in the bedroom and then a 65-inch in the living room, just like, and then my monitor, I believe, is 32 inches, don't quote me, something around that, and I'm just like, where's there room for a CRT television? But my 65-inch TV seems to have a pretty decent game mode. That's what currently my PlayStation 2 is hooked up to now. Game mode is something you really want to use for older games. It's not just like them trying to make the color as decent as possible. Like, with game mode, it tries to eliminate some of that input lag and stuff like that. Sorry, I say like a lot. It's a stupid way of me buying myself time to think about what I want more clearly. I guess you can deal with me stuttering and saying like a lot, or I can read from a script and sound like I'm a retarded moron as I try to read everything, and it just sounds like I don't have a soul. Sorry if you're a retarded moron listening or watching this video. I'm not trying to offend you. I feel really sorry for you, but you're probably not self-aware to begin with. Anyway, this is God of War 2. Awesome game. Can't say enough good things about it. It's an awesome game for the action-adventure genre. It's, in my opinion, the best God of War game. Also the best sequel of the God of War games, because it's the best God of War game. Obviously, it would be the best sequel. And if you're playing God of War 3, I guess it would be considered the best prequel. Anyway, Yeah, it just does everything better. The controls are exactly the same, super responsive. Um, this runs at 60 frames per second, but like I said, God of War games feel right at home at 30 frames per second as well. I almost kind of like the 30 frames per second, but I do feel like the PlayStation 2 versions of God of War did happen to dip from time to time in frame rate. So every once in a while there might have been a quick stutter, but look how much shit's going on on the screen at one time. Like, it's crazy. You're fighting bad guys and you have this giant ass Colossus statue attacking you. You don't even realize how big the fucker is until you actually, what you won't see in this video, sorry, when you actually go inside of the fucking thing and there's like gears and shit like that moving around. It's freaking nuts. One of the things that I think that makes this the best God of War is just the variety and level design. There's little different gameplay segments too, like you fly on Pegasus, like in one part. If you don't know what that is, it's like a horse with wings on it. So you have like a flying level and stuff like that. And to me, it's just the most creative, imaginative God of War out of all of them. I think they're all great, and they're all kind of similar. Obviously, this doesn't look as good as God of War 3 and God of War Ascension on the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 if you count the God of War remastered version. But this one, it's just your journey takes you from all these different places, and it just feels, dare I say, the most epic. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about this game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And if you're a fan of the action adventure genre or have any interest in Greek mythology, I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't play this game at any time of your life, if you consider yourself somewhat enthusiastic about the gaming hobby. Now I said all that shit. Now I gotta figure out something else to talk about. Yeah, I'm gonna die once in this video. Obviously, I'm recording this before I actually do the commentary, even though my commentary is still stuttering. That's just the way it is sometimes, but it would probably be worse because I would probably be like a 3-year-old with its jaw open with a string of drool hanging down watching Thomas the Tank Engine because I'm so enthralled by a fucking train that talks. That's how I feel when I play this game. It's just so awesome and epic, and I absolutely love it. This came out very late in the PlayStation 2's life cycle. I can't remember if the PlayStation 3 was out yet. I don't think it was, but I do remember having an Xbox 360 at this point. Yeah, I don't think the PlayStation... It was about to come out, I think. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fuck it. I'm used to being wrong, whatever. But, yeah, so here I am playing Xbox 360 games, and I was holding out on my PlayStation 2 because I knew that this game would eventually come out. And man, this was better than anything at the time that was available on the Xbox 360. I think during this time, the best game on the Xbox 360, at least in my opinion, was Oblivion, which is kind of a cool game in its own right with its own open world theme, but I didn't care that the textures and everything weren't as great looking as like the Xbox 360. Just absolutely fantastic, quick responsive controls. It's epic. It's everything I wanted. The disappointing but fun to play Castlevania Lament of Innocence. And my biggest gripe about the PlayStation 2 Castlevanias is that all the levels were just cut and paste. It's like they had a palette of different hallways and they just pasted every single hallway, like just to create a maze like castle, and that's it. There was like a room every once in a while that looked different from everything else just so you wouldn't get lost, and it was pathetic. Then Curse of Darkness came out. That also came out on the Xbox, the original Xbox. Didn't make it a better game, But it was a little bit better and more varied in the fact that you went to places and leveled up and stuff like that. But it's just like, what's the point? Everything looks the same. I feel like I'm doing the same thing over again. This game, you're literally excited about what's going to happen next, because you don't know what the next level is going to be like. There's not one part of the game, in my opinion, that looks the same. You really can't get lost. There's always something exciting happening. Even though Castlevania wasn't based on Greek mythology, it had a lot of Greek mythology motifs and monsters in it. Like, for instance, Medusa is a big thing in the Castlevania universe. Like, she's been in like every single Castlevania game that I can think of, except maybe the Game Boy ones, and I can't remember if she was in Simon's Quest or not, but she has a very large presence. So the Greek themes are pretty popular. Like in the background, a lot of the statues in the old Castlevania games had like this Greek theme in it. There was a remake of Rygar a long time ago on the PlayStation 2 that came out quite a few years before God of War, the first one, came out. And that kind of seemed like it was on the right track. That kind of had, even though that's in its own universe, like God of War is blatantly like in Greece. Rygar kind of has like a Greek theme to it, more or less, and that was on the right track, but the controls are still off. God of War like just made the controls. I was so excited about. The reason why I bring up, see, that's where I died. The reason why I bring up Castlevania so much is because was the old games still are some of my favorite games, but it was my favorite series of all time for the longest time, until we went into 3D, and then I don't know what happened. I did enjoy the Nintendo 64 ones, not as much as the 2D ones, but enough to enjoy it and found it a memorable experience. Although I don't consider it canon. It takes place like in the 1800s, and then you have skeletons on motorcycles, which is super weird. But then again, it's like, why is there like reanimated skeletons in this game? That's not very realistic. So I don't know what kind of logic I'm actually going by. It's like, I can't accept skeletons on motorcycles, but I can accept the skeletons being alive. Later on, Castlevania, when gosh, I can't even think of what, Lords of Shadow is what the first one came out. It did everything that God of War did right. They copied the controls blatantly, which I don't mind. When people say, oh, it's another God of War clone, I really don't care. To me, that just means it has excellent controls, and the backgrounds are varied, and it has like a darker theme. That's usually what God of War clone means to me whenever somebody references it about a game, because Dante's Inferno was dark and varied, and it has awesome controls. I'd still like to do a video of that game, but I don't know how I could do it without getting in trouble, because every time you turn around there's like nudity and something that I don't know if it would get me in trouble or not if I saw it. Maybe if I didn't make a big deal about it and didn't say anything, nothing would happen. I was kind of worried about this game in the beginning because I wasn't sure if the women would have anything covering their cleavage, because there are some parts of these games where they absolutely do not. Another thing you might notice is that there's no partitions on the side. I don't know whether PlayStation updated its firmware or not, but the last 3 games I've recorded, and I haven't done anything different, the PlayStation 3 games have been in full screen. I don't know what changed. I don't think the device magically fixed itself. I don't think elves rose out of the ground at nighttime and came into my house while I was sleeping and fixed my fucking capture device. the last time I updated the firmware was a year ago. And if you look at my other God of War video, I had to crop the video just to get rid of the partitions so I could add colorful partitions of my Mikey's Video Game Madness background, which to some people probably wouldn't be much better, but to me it was more aesthetically pleasing than a black void on each side of the screen. I don't know what's up with this. I hope it stays this way. I thought maybe when I did the Drakengard 3 video that maybe it was in native resolution. I hadn't recorded native resolution game, which after, I guess I'm at 600 videos now, or at least close to it, that many videos, I had to come across a native resolution 1080p PlayStation 3 game by now. It's just not possible, so I don't know what the hell is going on, but I hope it stays this way where it's full screen. I almost think it has something to do with the PlayStation 3's firmware. And I'm so glad. I almost want to go back and record other games because I hated that partition so much. And since the recording software ingrained the partition in the actual video code, there was no way of getting rid of it unless you cropped it. And this particular software has to have everything in a proper ratio. So if you want to get rid of the sidebars, you had to cut them off. But yeah, what I was saying about Castlevania is they went a Lord of the Rings route instead of what was Castlevania, so they kind of fucked that up. But this game is great. I would definitely recommend trying it. And thank you guys so much for watching, supporting the channel. Thank you, and bye. Take care.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe! Thanks for watching!